Well, we have a breaking story for you now out of China this morning. A court there has sentenced a Canadian man to death over drug charges. A Chinese accomplice has been given a life sentence. Patrick Falk is following the story for us from Beijing and joins us now. Patrick, thanks for joining us. What do we know so far?
Well, John, details are incredibly scant for the time being, but what I can tell you is that the Canadian national, identified as a man called Weihong, was sentenced to death after a trial in Guangzhou, that's in South China. We know from a notice that was posted on the Guangzhou Intermediate Court website that he'll also have all his personal assets seized. We're told that he bought raw materials and tools to manufacture drugs in 2016, and that public security officers seized 120 kilograms of ketamine from his home and other residences. The other pertinent bit of information, I should say, is that there was another man, a Chinese national, who was also convicted for the same crime, except he wasn't sentenced to death. He will receive life imprisonment. He's also to have his personal assets seized. But the only sort of distinction that we can see from the information at hand is that Shu purchased the material and the tools, and that the drugs were then produced, as far as we understand, in Wen Guanxiang's house and then stored in Shu's home. So that's the only distinction that we know of for the time being. What sort of difference that makes in terms of the legal aspect, we're not quite clear at this moment in time just now, but certainly a lot of people are going to be raising the question whether or not Shu's Canadian nationality had any part to play in what is, a vastly different punishment for the two.
And of course, tensions with China are already high over the arrest and detention of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou and the detention of two Canadians, Michael Spavor and Michael Kovrig. What could all of this latest verdict, mean for Canada's relationship with China?
Well, certainly this is going to raise alarm bells, because this is in fact the third Canadian national to be sentenced to death since the issue of the two Michaels began with China, really. But China's also today said at the Foreign Ministry press briefing that this matter was dealt with independently by the courts, and any crimes related to drugs, of course, are very serious in China. And spokesperson Wang Wenbin said that he didn't think this would interfere or harm relations between China and Canada in any way. But certainly it's going to raise some questions about whether or not this is related. I don't know if there's anything to read into the timing of this, but one might imagine that it could put pressure on Ottawa to sort of come to some sort of resolution with the two Michaels if they plan to change on their stance in any way at all.
All right. Thanks for this, Patrick. Patrick Falk in Beijing.